Jimmie Johnson takes the wheel of the legendary Blue Blaster at Seattle Seafair. From childhood dream to reality, how a NASCAR legend is reviving a hydroplane icon. Imagine being 4 years old, sitting on the deck of a legendary racing boat that once shattered speed records, and decades later, actually getting behind the wheel of the same machine. That's the story of Jimmie Johnson, the 7-time NASCAR champion, who's about to make history this weekend in Seattle. But here's where it gets controversial. Could this crossover between stock car racing and hydroplane racing spark a new era of unity in motorsports? Or is it just a gimmick? Let's dive into the details. A childhood memory, now a career-defining moment. Back in 1979, a wide-eyed Jimmie Johnson from San Diego found himself on the deck of the Blue Blaster, one of the most iconic hydroplanes ever built. The boat had just broken down during a race, drifting near the beach where fans waded in to help. With a nod from the legendary Bill Muncey, the pilot who later died in a 1981 crash, Johnson's father placed his son on the deck. A photo of that moment would later become a cherished memory, and decades later, a catalyst for Johnson's return to the water. This Friday, Johnson will finally fulfill a lifelong dream by piloting the restored Blue Blaster during the Seattle Seafair. The boat, now under the care of the Hydroplane Raceboat Museum, was painstakingly rebuilt after years in the National Airspace Museum. Chip Hanauer, Muncey's successor and a racing icon in his own right, reached out to Johnson after learning about his childhood admiration for the Blue Blaster. "I never forgot that day," Johnson wrote on Facebook. "On Friday, I'll finally take it for a ride and honor the legacy of Bill Muncey." Hashtag family ties and racing connections. Johnson's bond with the Muncey family runs deeper than just a shared love of racing. As a teenager, he and Bill Muncey's son Ed would race motocross together across California, Arizona, and Nevada. "My dad used to take Ed and me all over," Johnson recalled. "We had this great connection with the Muncey family." Those roots also led him to Hanauer, who piloted the Blue Blaster during its final competitive years. "We'd always go to the San Diego event and stand in the pits, enjoying the chaos," Johnson added. A season on the brink. Who will reign in Seattle? While Johnson's exhibition run steals the spotlight, the H1 Unlimited Series is in a nail-biting race for the season title. With just 2 events left, the top 5 drivers are separated by a mere 534 points. Here's the breakdown. Corey Peabody, U9 Beacon Plumbing, leading the pack with 2,809 points, despite no race wins this season. J. Michael Kelly, U8 Beacon Electric, trails by 323 points. His teammate and closest challenger, Andrew Tate, U91 Goodman Real Estate. Fastest qualifier so far, but a rocky Tri-Cities performance dropped him to 3rd, 434 points back. Dave Vilwock, U27 Miss Apollo. At 71, he's the oldest driver in history, and just tied his 11th Gold Cup victory last week. Now sits 4th, 490 points behind Peabody. Jamie Nilsson, U11 Flavor Pack, rounds out the top 5, 534 points from the lead. And this is the part most people miss. The U21 Spirit of America, driven by Gunnar O'Farrell, is set to compete, while the U12 Graham Trucking, Jeff Bernard, is a wild card. After a propeller failure in Tri-Cities, the team has been working 16-hour days to get the boat race-ready by Friday. Will they pull it off? How to watch the action unfold. Testing and Johnson's exhibition runs kick off Friday. Saturday brings qualifying and preliminary heats, with the final rounds on Sunday. All races will stream live on H1 Unlimited's YouTube channel, and Seattle's Kong TV will broadcast the event with commentary from former drivers Nate Brown and Steve David. Final thoughts. A new chapter or a passing trend? Jimmie Johnson's return to the Blue Blaster is more than a nostalgia trip. It's a bridge between generations of racing fans. But does this crossover moment signal a broader shift in motorsports? Or is it just a feel-good story? We want to hear your take. Do you think Johnson's involvement could inspire more NASCAR stars to dabble in hydroplanes? Or is this a one-off spectacle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Blue Blaster returns. Jimmie Johnson drives iconic hydroplane after 40-year hiatus. History roars back to life. A legendary Evansville racing icon is set to make a jaw-dropping return to hydroplane competition. And it's partnering with one of NASCAR's most celebrated champions. But here's where it gets controversial. Can a vintage machine from the 1970s still dominate modern waters? The Blue Blaster, a meticulously restored unlimited hydroplane once sponsored by Evansville's Atlas Van Lines, will hit the waves this Friday at Seattle Seafair Weekend Festival. This marks its first race in 4 decades, ending a hiatus that began long before many of today's racing fans were born. Behind the wheel, 7-time NASCAR Cup Series winner Jimmie Johnson, who's fulfilling a childhood dream sparked in 1979 when he posed for a photo with the boat as a starry-eyed 4-year-old. Here's the twist most overlook. Hydroplanes like the Blue Blaster aren't just boats. They're 180 miles per hour wind monsters that skim water surfaces, demanding split-second reflexes. Originally piloted by the late Bill Muncey, a hydroplane legend who dominated races until his tragic death in 1981, the Blue Blaster earned its fame with 24 victories in just 4 years. One standout moment? Muncey's 1981 triumph at Evansville's Thunder on the Ohio, a race still etched in local memory. And this is where debate ignites. Johnson, a racing titan on asphalt, will be coached by Chip Hanauer. Jimmie Johnson's epic hydroplane dream come true. Imagine fulfilling a lifelong dream that not only honors your past, but also reverberates through your childhood experiences. That's exactly what Jimmie Johnson is set to accomplish, as he checks off one of the biggest items on his bucket list. Born in 1979 on the shores of Mission Bay, this veteran NASCAR champion is about to take a thrilling ride with a piece of history. Creating a bucket list is a common practice for many individuals who wish to set goals for experiences they hope to achieve throughout their lives. For Johnson, this journey began when he first got behind the wheel in a competitive setting. He shared his excitement saying, "I've always had a passion for embracing new challenges. It's been an integral part of who I am. Whenever I see something intriguing, I can't help but deepen my involvement in it." Here's a glimpse into Johnson's impressive list of accomplishments. Competed in the Indianapolis 500. Check. Participated in the Boston Marathon. Check. Raced in both the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the 24 Hours of Daytona. Check. Mountain biking through the Rocky Mountains. Check. Participated in the Baja 1000 off-road race. However, on Friday, Johnson will achieve a milestone that truly stands out. He is set to climb into the legendary Blue Blaster Unlimited hydroplane, once driven by the late Bill Muncey, for an exhibition spin on Lake Washington during the opening day of the annual Seafair races. Reflecting on this special occasion, Johnson expressed, "I've been dreaming of this ride since I was around 4 years old. It will be a moment of unparalleled significance in my life," linking so many pivotal experiences together. This statement isn't merely an exaggeration. In 1979, young Johnson marked his 4th birthday by watching the San Diego Unlimited hydroplane races at Mission Bay, a tradition his family cherished. He fondly recalls, "My birthday always coincided with race weekend, and it was the only place I wanted to be. Thankfully, my parents made that happen." His admiration for his favorite driver, Bill Muncey of La Mesa, was both profound and passionate. Among everything, he adored the classic blue and white Atlas Van Lines Blue Blaster that Muncey made famous. At the time of Johnson's 4th birthday, Muncey was dominating the sport. The Blue Blaster, powered by a stunning turbocharged 12-cylinder, 1,650 horsepower Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, reminiscent of those used in World War II fighter planes, was unprecedented in its time. Muncey became a legend, achieving speeds exceeding 180 miles per hour and winning an astonishing 24 races along with 3 national championships in just 4.5 years. Sadly, San Diego was not a triumphant backdrop for Muncey in 1979. During the championship heat on that fateful Sunday, the boat experienced mechanical issues, causing it to drift towards the shores of Fiesta Island. In a heartfelt scene, fans hurried over. Among them was El Cajon's Gary Johnson, holding young Jimmie. With Muncey's approval, Gary helped his son climb onto one of the sponsons of the iconic 26-foot-long boat. At that moment, the Johnsons had no personal connection to Muncey, but tragedy struck when he died 2 years later during a race in Acapulco, Mexico, after the Blue Blaster flipped while traveling 175 miles per hour. Years later, Jimmie Johnson formed a friendship with Fran, Muncey's widow. The Blue Blaster's hull was ultimately retired, finding a permanent exhibit spot at the Smithsonian. In a remarkable turn of events, the Hydroplane Raceboat Museum in Seattle later acquired and meticulously restored both the boat and its engine to operational condition. Additionally, a poignant photo emerged of a young Johnson standing proudly on that very boat from 1979. This series of events has now culminated in Johnson receiving the incredible opportunity to drive the iconic Blue Blaster this Friday. You may wonder, why not celebrate this moment in San Diego? The answer lies in the fact that the boat now resides at the Seattle Museum. What does this story mean to you? Do you believe that revisiting and honoring our childhood inspirations can truly shape who we become in adulthood? Join the conversation and share your thoughts below.